Hello. Chapter 14. Chanticleer's Dream, the First Engagement with the Enemy. This was not a dream which comes out of the dreamer. It was the kind of dream which goes into him, and so it came with a hard power, and so its ending was neither fixed nor determined by its beginning. Some dreams are merely pockets in sleep, to be filled up with things from the sleeper's memory, and they pass with the waking. Others become solid events in the dreamer's life, sleeping or awake. Chanticleer's dream was of the second kind. He dreamed that he was standing on a small, muddy island in the middle of the river. There was room for his standing, but no more. The river stretched all around him, till, in every direction, it merged with the gray sky, and there was not a twig or a leaf to be seen anywhere. But it was the river, for it had a current, and his island made the water gutter and ripple. The water stank with such a loathsome odor that the rooster could not breathe without gagging. The rotten smell was strangling him. He was shaking his head violently to be rid of it, but to no good. And it seemed to him at the beginning of his dream that he was waiting for somebody. He was angry that he had to wait so long in such a place. "Why don't they come?" he said in a gagging voice. "Pax Gaiae superbe," the river answered him in the language of the powers. But in his dream Chanticleer was neither surprised by the river's talk nor ignorant of its meaning. It seemed natural, and he understood it. "Peace, proud Chanticleer," the river kindly hummed to him. "I know your trouble, and I have remembered you with an island out of my own bosom. I know your distress, and I shall companion you. I am both your company and your haven, proud Chanticleer. Peace." But Chanticleer was angry. "I don't want your island," he snapped. "Flush your island! I want them here, and I need them now! Oh, why don't they come?" "By now, dear Chanticleer, you should have learned how quicksilver are the hearts of those you serve. Yesterday's gratitude is forgotten today. Forgive me my speaking the truth," sang the river mildly, "but their need once satisfied, they do forget the Lord who led them, and then he's left alone, his own need and himself alone. They have forgotten you, lonely Chanticleer." "I don't believe it. They will come." "And as for my island, consider how very much you need it. Consider flight. Should I withdraw it from you, though I mean no such threat, and wonder whither you might fly? Consider the unutterable loneliness should I fall silent and cease to speak with you." "You see," the rooster suddenly cried out. "Look there! You see! They're coming for me. They haven't forgotten." Chanticleer leaped and waved at a dark spot on the horizon. "No, rather you shall see, proud Chanticleer, and then you shall know the truth." As it drew nearer, the spot showed as a boat made out of branches. Then it was a whole series of boats, a fleet, and the animals who rowed them were his own. Chanticleer grinned and forgot his anger. "Ha-ha!" he laughed and prepared to leave the island. "Here I am! Here I am! I knew you wouldn't forget me!" Silently the first boat swept toward the rooster. Silently it breasted him, and silently it passed by. Pins 1, 5, and 10 had not so much as looked at him. "Perlote!" Chanticleer cried to the passenger on the second boat. "Drag the water and turn, or look at me! Just look at me!" But the second boat passed with the first. "Oh, thankless breed of creatures," sang the river. "Shut up! Shut up!" shouted the rooster, suddenly desperate. "We shall see," the river sang calmly. "Here!" cried Chanticleer to Weasel on the third boat. "I'm over here! You can swim, John! I can't! Steer here, here, here!" But one after the other the boats passed the island, and none paused, nor would anyone on the boats glance at the screaming rooster standing on it. The wee widow mouse and her children, Beryl, Chalcedony, and 28 hens in grim procession. "Stop! Give me a ride! Oh, save me!" Chanticleer pleaded with Mundocani, first to his blank face and then to his back. It was a humiliation that Chanticleer should have to plead with the dog at all, but it was wasted humility. The dog sailed away with the others. "I hate you!" Chanticleer screamed at the disappearing boats. "Hate you! Hate you! Hate you all!" His throat hurt with the screaming, and when he was alone again his chest convulsed with angry sobs. But strangely in this dream it felt very good to be screaming these words, and the sobs were sweet medicine. Chanticleer had much pity for himself, lost and ignored upon his island. But the self-pity, too, felt good. It was a comfort and a relief, even a baneful sort of triumph, to be screaming pure hatred from the bottom of his soul, especially when he felt that he had the right to hate. They had done him first, therefore his was righteous wrath, deserved self-pity. "Ah, so we see the truth," the river hummed mildly all around him. "We have clear eyes now, and nothing is hidden from us any more, and we have become as wise as God. Their Lord provides them with comfort in their time of need. Their lonely Lord fills them with good things, and they answer his benevolence with what? With a cold and bitter distance, with a 'Sir,' and 'Please you, sir.' Am I right? And then, when the need is his, how then, proper Chanticleer? What then? Why, foul ingratitude. Oh, proper bird, how lonely you must be!" "Hate them! Hate them!" Chanticleer mumbled, savouring the pain. "Hate them all!" "Aye, they, the ingrati." The river began to toll terrible words, naming the rooster's animals for him. "And they, the oblivii, and they, the peccati. Here I have remembered you, and with an island out of my own bosom have saved you alive, but they have forgotten you, turned away from you, cut you off, despised you, sentenced you to misery and a forsaken death. Ingrati, oblivii, peccati." Though they were spoken in a quiet manner, Chanticleer knew them to be poisonous words, filled with cursing in the language of the powers. The river was offering them to him as if they had been dishes or weapons. The river was inviting him, and so hot was the hatred in the rooster's soul that he chose one of the river's words and put it into his own mouth and said it. "Ingrati," Chanticleer said. Immediately the dark spot was on the horizon again, and he saw it. For the second time the boats were coming around. At the sight, Chanticleer's stomach lurched, and he didn't know what to do. Swiftly they sailed to him where he stood. Would he call to them a second time? Would he humiliate himself again? Or would he stand proud in his lonely silence and let them pass by forever? But when they drew near to his island, he saw a horror. Each passenger on each boat lay dead. The beautiful Pertolote and all his hens dead. John Wesley Weasel, Lord Russell, the widow and all her children, Mundocani, Tick-Tock, every one of them dead. "Then they are well punished for their ingratitude and for your enforced loneliness," the river sang. "Such is my gift to you, Lord Chanticleer. Receive it with my benediction." But the rooster was staring at this procession with a killing guilt. He felt sick with his guilt because he had said that he hated them. He wanted to die because of his guilt. Suddenly he began to slap the water with his wings. "You! You! You!" he screamed, but there was no goodness in the screaming now. "It is you that I hate! You, damned of God!" At once the island started to sink. The water rose up to his legs, and he could not see where he was standing. In his dream it seemed as if he were standing on nothing, surrounded in every direction by the river's water. Yet he shrieked until his voice burst. "I don't care! Dying is little enough for me! Dying is right for me! It's you that I hate!" "I could cause the island to grow," sang the river. "I could make an Eden of it." But the rooster wept for guilt and screamed the louder. "It's you that I hate! I will fight you! Kill me now, right now, or I will fight you! Fight you! Fight you!" And then just before he drowned, he cried out, "Oh, Pertolote!" Pertolote, the real Pertolote, grabbed Chanticleer in her two wings and shook him. He woke up. "Chanticleer, Chanticleer," she said. She had been saying it over and over. "Chanticleer, oh, Chanticleer, you're dreaming." For a long, long time that night, the rooster simply let himself be held, his head sagging, and he was grateful. He panted heavily. He swallowed often. Then for a moment he left Pertolote alone. He stepped down from his perch and went to each of the other creatures in his coop. One at a time he touched them, and when he had touched them he said their names over to himself. Beryl, Chalcedony, Chrysolite, Sardonyx, Topaz, Jasper, Jacinth, Emerald, Mundocani, and my children, oh, my children. They slept on, so gently had he touched them, and they did not know he was whispering their names with love. Pertolote alone knew. When he was beside her again, he spoke. I will never dream again. Can you choose not to dream? She said. I can choose against evil, Chanticleer said. I can surely choose against evil, and my dreams have been filled with evil. It's what I do in them, and then it's what I bring out of them into this place. If I have to stay awake forever, I will never dream again. Yes, I choose not to dream. Pertolote considered the tone of her husband's voice. It was different from what it had been, and so she said, Will you talk now, Chanticleer? Oh, he said, truly turning to her, I never stopped talking. Will you answer me a question? Of course, I'm okay now. But Chanticleer didn't understand that the difficulty of the question wasn't in him, but in her. When someone seldom talks about herself, she believes that everyone else is like her, and that no one wants to talk about himself. But she asked her question. Why have you been worried for so long? Then Chanticleer didn't help her in her difficulty. Instead of answering, he gave her question for question. Where did you come from, Pertolote? She was quiet and didn't answer. Shush, shush, he gentled her, as if she had said something. My question is as important as yours. They are the same question, Pertolote. Listen to me. You came to my land by the river, and so you have something to do with it. More than I know, and I need to know, because it is the river that has worried me for so long. It has flooded the entire south territory of my land. A strange, unholy flood, but maybe you can tell me of its source. Maybe you can teach me something, so I can understand this thing. Why did you come here, Pertolote? I, too, can choose against evil, she said, in a little voice. Then we are one, he said. I lived in the land just west of the mountains. So far away? It is a long river, longer than I know. But I can choose against evil as well as another, Pertolote repeated, for it was important to her that Chanticleer understand this before she told him her story. If she was to reveal the vulgar secret of her past, it must be on her own terms. She must not lose his love in the telling, and she must not, by his deeper knowledge of her, begin to hate herself. Chanticleer said, I know your heart, Pertolote. That I know very well, and it is good. So, then she told him of her land, of Senex, the rooster with his back to the mountains, of his death, and of the miraculous birth of his child. She told him, and Chanticleer learned of the being who bore the name Cockatrice, his tormenting of the hens, his children the basilisks, his destruction of the whole land. And then she stopped, and the night was quiet again. Finally, Chanticleer spoke. Pertolote, Pertolote, he said, not less, but so much more do I love you now. Having heard her tale, he was calm and deeply happy, and he was confident that he would never dream again. What she had told him had not caused this peace, though he had listened well to it. But she had spoken these things at all in his presence. That critical gesture was his assurance. It pleaded her love and her absolute trust in him. Why, she had placed her very heart into his keeping, believing he would not harm it. And by heaven, he would not.